Hi, this is Rebecca at Northwest Lumpia. Our ultimate cheese is the one who won the vote, so we will be serving this this Friday and Saturday. I'm going to start out by showing you a couple of the items that we put in there. Now, I've already started with these, so we'll chop these in a minute, but I'm going to be using just plain white mushrooms. Now, for yours, you can use crimini or shiitake, but if you did the shiitake, I wouldn't use the dried ones. I would get the fresh ones. Portobellos are really nice too. We're going to do a couple of the bell peppers, and then we have our cheese sauce. Now, if you decide to buy your cheese sauce, make sure that it's something that's very thick, very heavy, and a little bit salty so that the flavor really cuts through. You can use all kinds of different cheeses. You can use, cheddar or Gruyere or any of those, but this is just going to be just a plain cheddar. So since I've already had these prepared, I'm just going to use my biscuit cutter and I'm just going to chop these up. Now, I don't want these to be really fine. I want them to be a little bit chunky, but I need them small enough that whenever I put them into a lumpia, I'm able to really be able to roll them up without having any of the mushrooms poking through and creating holes in my lumpias. So typically you're going to want them to be about this size so that you can get a really good bite whenever you bite into those lumpias. Now, these are my green bell peppers. I'm just going to cut the tops off and then cut the bottoms off. I go in here and cut the middle out so that I can poke it through. I just shake off a few of the seeds and everything. I don't use a food processor, especially whenever I'm doing these. Seems like whenever I use a food processor that it just really brings out the water in the bell peppers. So I'm just going to show you how I do that. So I just make them to little matchsticks and then I push them all together so that they're nice and straight. And this is going to be about the size of the bell peppers that we're going to want. Now, here in a few minutes, after I get done chopping all of these things and getting them all together, then I'll show you how we start frying them up in the pan. Okay, so now that we've got everything chopped up, so this is what the mushrooms look like. And as you'll see, there's some bigger pieces and smaller pieces. And we really do want irregular. And then we have our bell peppers, and they're the same way, a little bit irregular, but that is actually the way that we want it. Now, in my pan, I've got a little bit of oil, and we want it to get it good and hot so that whenever we put our mushrooms in and our bell peppers in, that we're not actually trying to saute them to get the liquids to release. We actually want to fry them so that they're just a tad bit crunchy. So we're going to get them all nice and covered. There we go. And as they start to cook, then we're going to take and we're going to add these in. Now remember, I don't use a food processor. You can with the mushrooms, but with the bell peppers, because they release so much fluid so much water whenever you use the food processor, I just roughly chop them. And then I'm going to fry this until it's just a little bit crispy. Okay, so now we're just going to transfer these. And if you take a look at those, you can see some of them, they're a little bit scorched, and that is exactly what they want, so that they give it just a little bit of that smoky flavor, and those mushrooms are nice and browned. Okay, so in the same pan, because we want all of these drippings, we're going to put our ground beef. Now, ground beef is typically not what you put in a Philly cheesesteak. But because we're rolling these in a lumpia, we need something that has a much smoother consistency and that is easier to roll. So I'm just going to brown this And then I'm going to take and put my seasons in. And then as soon as we get this all nice and brown, I'm going to add in the bell peppers and the mushrooms. And then finally, our cheese sauce. Alright, so now we already have all of our season into our meat. We're going to take our scorched vegetables and put them in here. Now you're going to notice that there's quite a bit more meat than there is the bell peppers and the mushrooms. And that's what we want. We want the meat to be accented by the flavors of that. We don't want it to be a bell pepper and mushroom lumpia. Now we batch cook these. We don't do it in high amounts just because working with cheese especially can be very difficult. So rather than, doing 10 or 15 pounds at a time, we just take and do these in much smaller batches and then just repeat until we get the amount that we want. So I'm just going to start with a little bit, about half my pan, and see how that works. So if you decide to do your own cheese sauce, I would recommend trying to get more of an American cheese type flavor, just because that's a little bit more traditional, but you can do any flavor that you want. And if you don't like the bell peppers and mushrooms, then you can just add some other vegetable. You can add in onions or anything similar to that, just so that you get that Philly cheesesteak flavor. Now, as you see, the cheese and everything is starting to separate just a little bit, and that's okay. Once it cools off, all of it will come together, and unlike the s'mores that we did last week, on the Philly cheesesteak, we actually want to cool this because otherwise it's just too difficult to work with. And as you can see here, it's actually kind of a loose consistency, not so much like last week when we did the s'mores, and it was a much more sticky and pulled together consistency. So I'm going to take this now and I'm going to put it in the walk-in cooler and cool it off, and then we'll see how it looks. Okay, so now this is what it looks like when it's cool, and now we're going to roll up a lumpia. So once again, the Simix brand lumpia wrappers. I'm just going to take a scoop of this. Don't be shy. And then we're going to put it right there. I'm going to take this, and this one's a little bit different. Last time I told you to pinch it. This time you're going to pinch it and spread it out a little bit. And then roll it up. We're going to fold the sides. There we go. And then just use a little bit of water to make it stick together. And there we go. So let's do one more, because that one was just a little bit sloppy. So here we go. Our lumpia. Another scoop. Put it over the top, pinch it, and when you pinch it, spread it out. Just like that. And then the sides. Tuck it in nice and tight. Our water for our glue. And there we go. Now let me go fry these up, and we'll take a look and see what they look like on the inside. Okay, so our lumpias are now out of the fryer. So the way we came about this is we had a customer, his name was Jerry, and he wanted I think it was like a white cheese Philly cheesesteak. So we created for him big cheese Philly cheese, and it was really good. But my husband really likes the traditional Philadelphia, Pennsylvania type of Philly cheesesteak. So we watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos, and there was one person who was pretty famous for making Philly cheesesteaks. I believe his name was Gino something. I don't remember his last name. But we kind of tweaked his recipe a little bit, and this is what we came out with, and this is the one that my husband approved. So this is the ultimate cheese. So I'm just going to take these and cut these in half so that you can see what they look like. Let me get both of them, okay? There we go. And as you can see, the cheese is just dripping right out of them. Doesn't that look delicious? So thank you so much, Gino and Jerry and my husband, for helping me create this lumpia. Thank you so much and have a great day.